don't want to be a dietitian anymore. Do you ever feel this way, guys? Honestly, I've been there. And there's a multitude of reasons why dietitians feel like they don't want to be a dietitian anymore. My name is Sheena, and I've owned and operated my own dietitian private practice for the past decade. And I drop new episodes on this channel every Wednesday on getting started with your private practice. And if that's something you're interested in, definitely click that subscribe button. So here are some of the top reasons why many people feel like they just do not want to be a dietitian anymore, and why we should curb the desire to ditch the dietitian profession altogether, and how we can make it fit our own lifestyle instead. So some of the top reasons why I hear people don't want to be a dietitian, numero uno, is the pay is really bad. From a traditional dietitian job perspective, yeah, the pay is usually not great. Now, of course, we can get in administrative roles, CEO roles, things like that, where we're making maybe a six-figure salary. But a lot of times these aren't entry-level positions, and pay for entry-level dietitians, and honestly, even sometimes years in the field, is pretty minuscule. That's frustrating. Dietetics degree is huge. Now with the master's requirement, 7+ years we're looking at to become a dietitian to make, I think the national average is somewhere around $33 an hour. Honestly, guys, it's insulting. So that's the number one reason why people say they don't want to be a dietitian anymore. We can fix that. What I often hear is that dietitians feel undervalued. Yes. Many times in traditional clinical roles and even community roles, we are often feeling very undervalued because we are. Honestly, reimbursement rates for dietitian in hospital is nowhere near these other specialties. Oftentimes, our services are just straight up undervalued. We're treated more like cafeteria ladies than we are specialists in nutrition. Oftentimes, our jobs are even assigned to other professionals like the medical doctor, the nurses, etc. And the actual scope of our practice is kind of hijacked from us, even in the clinical setting. Recommendations are often overridden, and we often feel overworked and underpaid. We can fix that. The next reason I hear that people don't want to be dietitians are there just aren't enough jobs available, especially for new dietitians. We often see those dietitians working 2, 3 part-time jobs, PRN jobs, in order to just make ends meet. Talk about exhausting. And again, that goes back to feeling overwhelmed, underappreciated, etc. One thing that I want to know is that with your dietitian credential, the world is a land of opportunity. But the problem is we need to stop seeing our profession as a dietitian as being something that someone assigns to us. Go out looking for traditional jobs. There is a cap on the amount of earning potential that we have. But if you're feeling like you are just burnt out on being a dietitian, there are so many other options. Honestly, being a dietitian, it's kind of like a magic admission ticket to anything else you want to do. I know dietitians that are media experts. I know dietitians that are professional writers, bloggers, doing online courses, educating other dietitians, educating other healthcare providers. Pretty much the sky is the limit. Anything that you think you've ever wanted to do, especially when you think, I'd like to switch out of the dietitian role, I promise you, you can probably do that as a dietitian. You're just not thinking outside of the box. And there is a lot more money, 6 figures, that you might even make as a CEO as a dietitian. Honestly, when you branch out on your own and think outside of that traditional dietitian role, the earning capacity of a dietitian is completely limitless. And a lot of these dietitians are literally making money in their sleep, making money passively. Job, honestly, is just to pursue their passions and go full throttle. The actual money-making activity happens in the background, even without their hourly contribution to the cause. Is really cool. And that is where you are perfectly positioned as a dietitian to take on these roles. Now, I want to tell you about the day that I decided I no longer wanted to be a dietitian. One thing you need to know about me is I am a free spirit. I joke now, I am unemployable, and that is literally not a joke, you guys. I cannot be employed. I get insulted when I hear people saying you have to be somewhere at a certain time. I get insulted when I think about having to ask permission for a day off as a grown ass adult. I get insulted when somebody is grading me on my performance as a dietitian when I am a full fledged professional adult. All those things are insulting to me. Do not hire me. I am not a good candidate. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about my first job. My first job as a dietitian was in a call center where I literally served clients back to back all day long on weight loss. Honestly, most unfulfilling freaking job of my life. The platform was very corporate. And so what they did is they basically had a script that you almost had to follow to a T to facilitate these weight loss interventions. You were also capped at a 15-minute max, and if you went over that, you were penalized and your scores and performance went down. The job was so monotonous. It was so easy. I wasn't providing any life saving interventions. I wasn't really doing anything at all. If these people did have any clinical conditions, they were disqualified from these programs. So I was literally just listening to these people's meal plans day in and day out and being like, hey, why don't you cut out the extra hamburger? I've never felt so unfulfilled in my life. So when I decided to not be a dietitian anymore, it was very, very direct. I remember the very rebellious day that I had when my boss literally was giving me an evaluation and they were like, yeah, you didn't facilitate the right intervention here because this person had a knee injury and you should have been telling them to cut their calories when in fact, you just told them that their goal this week was to get on the scale. Honestly, guys, this was the most insulting thing that I've ever heard in my life. And this is when I turned around and decided to start my private practice. Like within 20 minutes of that conversation, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get money, but I'm done with this BS. Like, I am done with this BS. There was no point to this conversation. Honestly, there was no point to the intervention at all. And I literally thought to myself, this is not going to be represent what I've contributed to this world in my life. Like and so I just decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to change that. And that's me. Honestly, I don't recommend doing that because I am the type of person that is completely comfortable living in a cardboard box, you guys. Like, I was raised by gypsies, like my family's musicians, like they don't have any money, can't get dinner, they're just going to go play their guitar until they get some dinner. And I kind of like adopted that mentality, unfortunately. And so I was like, you're insulting me and I'm not tolerating this. So I opened my private practice. I had zero clue how I was going to do a private practice, but I knew that I was not going to work there. So it was going to be a private practice or I was going to do something completely different, like go back to bartending. Like, it was literally like, I am done with this. And so honestly, guys, like while I am a dietitian and I do see patients on occasion, I am kind of not your traditional dietitian, right? Like 90% of what I do is honestly as a marketer, which by the way is another thing that you can do as a dietitian. You can market for other dietitians. You can be a website developer for other dietitians. You can be a virtual assistant for other dietitians. So I really want to take you out of that mindset of like, there's this fixed box and there's these clinical things that we need to know as dietitians and we should know all of the things. And if you don't, then like you're falling behind. BS. Garbage. In fact, another thing that always really made me angry as a dietitian is when I went to an interview for a dietitian job and they would literally quiz me like I was in high school on stupid crap about being a dietitian. Like, okay, if you're providing a tube feed for a patient, what kind of protein do you need if they have this specific medical condition? How flipping insulting, you guys. Like, I don't know where we came up with thinking that this was okay, but I have a flipping 6-year degree in a 1-year residency. And even if I cannot answer one of your stupid questions, you know that I can be trained to do this again, because it's literally just I haven't brushed up on that material in probably a few years, but I can be trained to do it again. You bet your ass in 1 to 2 weeks, and I will be the best person on the team doing this. So, super insulting. Why are we doing this? I am not a child. Yes, the field of dietetics as it is, I am not going to lie, I find it extraordinarily insulting. I find the wages that they offer dietitians extremely insulting. I honestly even find some of the reimbursements rates through insurance insulting, and I don't work with those companies. So we need to be properly compensated, and we need to be doing what we want. So instead of ditching the field of dietetics, I really encourage you instead to think about what you want to do. What lights you up? What are you actually passionate about? And a really good way to consider this is when you were a kid and you used to play games about your profession as an adult, like what were you? What were you doing? What was your role? Were you writing things? Were you a teacher? What was your role? For me, honestly, you guys, I was the boss. I didn't care what we were playing. It was me and my sister and my cousin, and I was just the boss. I liked post-it notes. I liked organizing things, and I liked telling them what to do. So that was me as a child. And I realized that as a traditional dietitian role, I was never going to ever get those things. Even as a traditional private practice role, it's kind of hard to get those things, which is why I transitioned more into like a teaching, coaching type of role for both other providers and teaching other providers how to work with eating disorders, etc. Because I am just not someone that can follow the traditional status quo. And I think that it is incredibly important that you know this about yourself. Really sit down and examine yourself. I want you to transition the conversation instead of where can I get hired, what can I do for somebody else, to what do I want to do, and how do I create a job that actually emphasizes my strengths versus forcing me to conform to a mold. That mold that I was doing in my first job, and honestly my only job ever as a dietitian, you guys, was not a good fit for me. Following a script, I can't do it. I can't follow directions for shit, you guys. Like, that's not me. Do not ever have me set something up or build something in a house. Like, I cannot do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna skip to the end and see if I can just like improvise. So that's not my forte. That's not my superpower. And my superpower is leading others. My superpower is inspiring and motivating and translating really complex things into simple language, and just inspiring others and simplifying it into a way where it's feasible for everyone. And so that is what I like to do. I really love being the boss. And so where other individuals are feeling like they're struggling or need some more of that mentorship, I'm the perfect candidate for that, because I can simplify it for folks and just kind of really piece everything together and help you pull out your skills as well. So that is what I love doing as a dietitian. For you, it might be something totally different. You might love working with other people. By the way, I hate doing that. But you can create your own business and working with other human beings, maybe doing classes, courses, facilitating things for other providers. Literally, there is no cap to what you can do as a dietitian. So do not limit yourself to what you learn in college is the dietitian job. So don't quit the dietitian job. Just make the dietitian job fit what you need first as a person and mold your dietitian credential to that. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If so, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with a friend.